Here we are today at a customer. They have a bag condenser coil. We're gonna get ready to get set up to recover the refrigerant out. We're gonna get this thing changed out and see if we can get them back up and cooling. Hopefully it's gonna go nice and smoothly, but we'll see what happens. We're gonna go ahead and get our recovery set up and get to pulling the refrigerant out. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and get the coils taken out. There's a good one. So we're going to go ahead and get our gauges hooked up. I do have one hose that's down, so I do have two blue hoses today. Get our tank on our scales. Go ahead and get that zeroed out. We're going to take the charging hose from our manifold, put it on the inlet port. Take our other hose out and into the tank. Hey! We're going to go ahead and open up all of our valves through here. Open up our core tools to the hoses. Open our gauges all the way. Come here and purge our tank. So we get all the air out of it, because we're going to reuse this refrigerant because it is new. And we're going to go ahead and get it turned on. Open up this valve. Tank is a new tank, so it's on a vacuum. And then we'll be back whenever we get it all pulled out. We've got all the refrigerant recovered. It was 4 pounds, 15 ounces, just like it says on the nameplate. So this unit was charged good. I've done got everything turned off. So we're just gonna valve this off for right now. I've done got my core tools turned back off, disconnect everything. And at this point I can open these up. That's always what was left in the recovery tank, or the recovery machine. So while we was waiting, we went ahead and took everything off that we could so we can go ahead and get ready to get this coil out. And we've been planning, seeing how we're going to get this out. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off right here, because anything that's going to help you be quicker and more efficient is always a good thing. And a lot of times cutting is just a lot quicker, especially if you're in places where you have to get hot work permits, which we don't right here, but we can go ahead and be getting things prepped while we're getting the permits obtained. So that's all cut loose, good and free. We're going to get this thing lifted out. Now that we've got that one out, we're going to go over here to our new one, and we've got to put these little black pieces here on the bottom to keep it from rubbing, essentially. I thought a lot of them would stay, but they did not, so we're just going to go ahead and put all new ones on. We're going to end up cleaning a lot of the bottom of this unit out because it is kind of dirty. And since you can't have too many of these, we'll go ahead and maybe add a few more on there just because we can. Alright, we're going to get this cleaned up. We'll get ready to settle this back in, and we'll be back whenever we start brazing in. Alright, so we're gonna get this thing put back in. I decided it'd be a lot easier. We just went ahead and took these grates off as much as I didn't want to. But it just makes it easier lifting it in. So we're gonna get this set in position. We've got to get this slid back into where it needs to be. Yeah. All right, we had to take a little bit of a phone call break. Had some people calling, asking some questions, but we went ahead and got the condenser coil in, got a few of the grates screwed back up. We got a new copper put in. There did used to be a line dryer right here that's stubbed out right here. I don't want it in here, so if there's ever got to be any changes made on the inside, you can pump this down, still change your line dryer if you need to. So we've just put us a piece of copper in, reattached this, got us a new line dryer put in out here, and it's another phone call break. All right, back from our phone call break. We've got our nitrogen regulator, we've got our brazing regulator. Like I've said before, we've done got our copper in. I'm gonna go ahead and hook this to the liquid line. It is important to leave all of your ports open, so that way you don't build up pressure in the system. So I've got the cores out of both of these. This port's open, and we're going to turn our nitrogen on. And what this does is, while we're brazing, it does not produce carbon inside the copper lines, which I think may have been what could have stopped this one up when it was installed. That's a little hot, but we're going to get this brazed in and get ready to get it pressure tested. Alright, so we've got that brazed in. We're going to get our mirror out. This one we can see looks good. This one we can see looks good. We're going to look down here at this bottom one. That one all looks good. Well, I've got a small hole on that one that we'll get taken care of real quick. Alright, it does pay to check sometimes, because there is a lot of times even the people that's best at brazing can still miss one tiny spot sometimes, but it don't take nothing but a second to look just to make sure. So right now we've got everything set up on this. We're going to turn our nitrogen off and take the brazing regulator off of it, because the next thing we're going to do is pressure test this for leaks on the whole system. I've just got a little single gauge that I'm going to attach right here for today. Sounds like we're out of nitrogen, and we are definitely just about out now, but we've got it. I'll go ahead and see how much I can put in here just to get rid of all of it. All right, I hit 225, just a little bit over. We're gonna let this sit here a few minutes while I get some stuff cleaned up that we ain't gonna need. I'll spray some bubbles on it right here in just a minute, just to verify everything. I always just use the stream setting because you can spray it on there without making any bubbles. You just squeeze it nice and easy. But it is fairly quiet out here, and all of our joints are accessible, so we should be able to hear them even if we did have some leaks. But I believe we're going to be in good shape. We're going to let that sit there while I clean some stuff up, and then we'll be back to set up a vacuum. Alright, so we had to take another phone call break. But we've got the unit put back together. Got the top back on it, got everything wired back up. We've started connecting our vacuum hoses, so that way we can go ahead and get the vacuumer rolling. We've already had the cores out whenever we pulled the refrigerant out, so we just connect our vacuum hoses onto the back of them, leave them open. I changed the vacuum pump oil this morning, So that way we're good on it. I take this nylog, which will help keep your gaskets good and soft, and you can put it on your threads and at your flare for your gasket. That'll keep everything sealed and help reduce any chances of your connection right here leaking. We did hold pressure at 300 or 230 psi for about 40 minutes, so that all checked out good. Hopefully we'll be able to get this thing on here, get a good vacuum on it, and we can get this thing rolling, charged up, and get them cooling again. We're not going to worry about putting a micron gauge on it yet, because we're going to let it pull down for at least 30 minutes before we even check it. So we've got it all connected, got the cores out, got our core tools open. We're going to go ahead and get this turned on, and then we'll be checking our micron levels here shortly. Alright, we've got our vacuum pulled down to 400 microns. We're going to go ahead and shut off our ball valves. I've already connected the recovery tank that we used, and let it pull a vacuum into it, and that way we've got this unhooked. We're ready to start charging. So all I've done is I went ahead and hooked up our charging hose to the side of that core tool, got it up here to our recovery tank. It's done pulled a vacuum through that line. I've got my scales on here zeroed out. So all I've got to do, since this has a vacuum in it, I'm just going to open this up and let it charge the system up. Open that up. We've got refrigerant going in down through here, so we're going to work on getting this thing ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and connect the probe over here on this side. Since I've got it charged above atmospheric pressure for right now, I know I'm going to have to add some back into the system because you won't get it all out of the tank. I'm going to go ahead and unhook this. And get it connected back here so it don't have a core that it has to go through, because on this side it's got a core on it. So that's really starting to help it get charged up a lot quicker. So I'm gonna let this sit here a few minutes. see if that'll pull some more refrigerant in. And we'll be back whenever we get ready to start it up. Alright, so we had to get the system running. People had came out and talked to us. I couldn't get all the refrigerant pulled out of my recovery cylinder, so we're going to add just a little bit of refrigerant. Overall, it's running good. My subcooling is a little low due to being just a little short on refrigerant. I need about 1.5 pounds in it that I couldn't get pulled out. So we're going to get connected up on this. This all purged out. Get our tank turned on. Purge our line out. And we're going to add some refrigerant. This line set is a bit longer anyway, so it's going to need a little bit of extra to be able to get the subcooling that we need. So I've got the fill piece smart probes, and right now my head pressure is 263, and I've got a 7-degree subcooling now, so it's not taking much. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off and let it even out. I've got a 34-degree evaporator at 106 psi and 270 psi on my head. I have a 19-degree superheat and dropping. My subcooling has come up to 10 degrees, and that's about, we want about a 10-degree subcooling with a 15-degree superheat on average. It does depend on the manufacturer. The nameplate on this one has wore off, and I can't really read what it's supposed to be as far as the manufacturer's recommendations. But generally, if you shoot with a TXV, a 15-degree superheat and about a 10 to 12-degree subcooling, you're going to be in good shape because it'll take care of itself. So we're going to let this run. I do have my indoor probes in. My supply is 54, my return is showing 72, so right now I've got an 18-degree temperature difference, which is cooling great. The initial problem we had on this system was the condenser coil was stopped up inside the tubes. Here's the old one. I don't have any nitrogen right now. I run out as I was making this, but I would blow nitrogen through here to see if I could get anything to come out. But these little fins, or these little kind of like flat channels, I believe had stopped up, because as this system was running, you could put your hand and you would have hot spots in it. It'd be hot, 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 and then over here it would be cold, like it was metered. So we've got it changed out, and right now our head pressure is running good, because I did have a super high head pressure because it was a restriction. and we've got it changed out right now, and we're going to let it run for a little bit, keep an eye on it, and we're going to see what happens.